of leaders is not to be the hero of anyone else's story, but rather to do the hard work in ourselves so that we can inspire and equip others to be the hero of theirs.
Hello, and to many of you, hello again. One of my highlights of 2019 was being with you all at the Global Leadership Summit and launching my book, Beginner's Pluck. Beginner's Pluck is all about consciously choosing to own your inner beginner, whether you are just starting out on your journey or whether you are actually an expert, for the purposes of becoming a more creative, courageous, and innovative leader. What I didn't know when I launched that book last fall is that just a few short months later in 2020, the entire globe would be forced to become beginners. Okay, so what does that actually mean? Well, let me tell you what it has meant for me. And I'm gonna be really honest here. March of 2020 was one of the worst months of my life. I, as a leader, was honestly in a state of grief and fear and anxiety, wondering if everything that I have built over the last decade at Sseko Designs was going to go down. But then I chose to harness my inner beginner. I chose curiosity over criticism. Are you someone that's like a little bit sick of hearing like self-help leaders tell you in the midst of all of this to like find joy and think positive thoughts? Well, if that feels a little bit hard to swallow for you right now, I'm going to tell you something else you can do, which might be a little bit easier to swallow. You can, in the midst of disappointment, failure, the unknown, you can choose to stay really curious. And studies have shown that curiosity is actually the number one trait that will help you not just survive, but thrive as a leader. A high curiosity quotient, your CQ, yes, that is actually a thing, I didn't just make it up, will help you navigate ambiguity and complex circumstances. It's gonna help increase your empathy and help you have less aggressive and defensive reactions to difficult information. All of this is incredibly important during a time of crisis. Next up, when you're channeling your inner beginner, you can counterintuitively decide to become a leader who is really good at finding problems as opposed to solutions. Listen, I know it sounds wild, but as leaders, we are so tempted, especially during times of crisis, to defend and protect our solution, this thing that we have built, that we have to offer to the world. But what if you are solving a problem with that solution that no longer exists? If you are solving the exact same problem for your customer or your community that you were solving in January of 2020, then you are likely not actually looking for the newest, most interesting problems. You're probably not being as empathetic and curious about your community's needs as you could be. Before thinking about how you can defend and protect your solution, I'm gonna ask you to have the beginner's pluck, the courage to ask some honest and scary questions about what the most relevant problems are right now. Whether you are leading yourself, your family, or an entire organization, don't be afraid to own your inner beginner. We are all, whether we like it or not, beginners now. The good news is, beginners who know how to intentionally harness their inner beginner by choosing curiosity, by listening courageously and empathetically, and by being first problem finders, will have an edge in building lives and organizations of purpose, passion, and impact for the long haul.